Hello, happy Monday. Welcome to this week's live. This is part 3 of hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. I might actually even end up doing a part 4 because as I've been thinking about it and reflecting on the videos that I've done with regards to hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, I realized that I dove into this without really talking about the early warning signs. Excuse me. I'm not sure why. Every time I come live, I always need to sneeze. Must be something in the universe. Anyway, yeah, so I realized that I dove into this series without really speaking about what are the symptoms, what are the signs and symptoms of hypothyroidism. And I also feel like I would love to do a little bit more of a deeper dive on what kind of thyroid panel you want to be getting if you suspect that you might be dealing with thyroid issues. It's far more the standard TSH panel, which is what TSH test, which is what most doctors usually get a requisition for. So welcome to this week's video. I'm Julie with Balanced Life with Julie. I'm a regenerative health practitioner and a holistic nutritionist. And my vision with this channel on YouTube is to really share a lot of information with regards to holistic health so that you have a better understanding of, number one, how your body works and the best ways that you can support your body when it comes to health. So in this week's video for hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, what I want to talk about is last week I covered the diet part, and I can't remember what I covered the week before, but this week I really wanted to talk about detoxification. This is an element that I feel that a lot of people are missing when it comes to thyroid issues. There's a lot of emphasis on what do I take, what are the supplements, and if you know me or know my work at all, you know that I'm not a big proponent of supplements. I really do think that the body works best when we use whole foods, superfoods, and herbs, that the response in terms of how your body recovers is a lot faster. But the detoxification side is significant for absolutely everyone, not even just if you're dealing with thyroid issues, but in general. So our body is made up of trillions and trillions of cells, somewhere between 50 to about 75 trillion cells, depending on the individual. And we have two fluids, blood and lymph. Our blood is what feeds and nourishes our cells and tissues. That's what brings oxygen and nutrients to all of those trillions of cells. And then our lymphatic system is responsible for the cleanup. It is the cleanup crew of the body. And so interestingly, the ratio in which we have blood versus lymph is very, very important to note. Our blood actually only makes up 20% of the fluids in our body. 80% is made up of lymph. And that goes to show that the detoxification element of any person's health is actually really, really key. And most people, I would say, are lymphatically backed up. Their kidneys aren't filtering properly. Their colon's not working properly. And what ends up happening over time is there's this huge backlog of literally lymphatic and metabolic waste and chemical waste that builds up in the body. And why this really matters for thyroid issues is that our thyroid conversion, that T4 to T3, T4 is the inactive form of thyroid hormone, T3 is the active thyroid hormone. So 20% of that conversion happens in the thyroid, 20% happens in the gut. This is why gut health is so important. And 60% of that conversion happens in the liver. And I would say I've been doing this work now for 8 years. I've been going on 8 years. as a practitioner, and I would say I can say with some confidence now that everybody's gut is compromised, their adrenals are compromised, their lymph system is compromised, and their liver is compromised. And part of that liver stress comes from the fact that most of the foods that people are eating have a lot of additives and preservatives and food colorings and just chemicals that our liver has to contend with. With women in particular, there's personal care products, there's beauty products. So whether that's the shampoo you're using to wash your hair, whether that's the makeup you're putting on your skin, whatever you put onto your skin is going to go into your bloodstream. And if there are chemicals in there, that is going to put a stress on your liver. And then on top of that, if you are taking pharmaceuticals, if you are taking synthetic supplements, those things are also going to stress out the liver. So oftentimes when someone is dealing with thyroid issues, they think it's exclusively the thyroid, but what's actually happening is it could be the liver, it could be the pituitary, it could be the gut, it could be all those elements. It might be one of them, it might be all of them. So, excuse me. Not only did I have to sneeze, but now like I can feel my nose is running a little bit. Excuse me. I think it's because I have these beautiful roses on my desk, which are out of frame. But there must be something in there. It's triggering me. Obviously, my lymph system needs a little more support. So when we're talking about thyroid issues, the detoxification piece is very, very important. And it is really important to make a note of like, is your liver overstressed, overwhelmed? And I do have some herbs that I work with when it comes to supporting the liver and detoxifying the liver. I actually put myself through a 90-day protocol last fall, and it made a huge difference in how my liver started to function afterwards. Some of the issues that I was dealing with actually completely resolved. And so when it comes to the gut, right, I would say that for most people, if you've had any processed foods over the course of your life, if you're someone who's consumed a lot of grains or fast foods, processed sugars, lots of meat and dairy, those things tend to really, for lack of a better word, gum up your GI system. What actually starts to happen is there's mucoid plaque that starts to build up in the intestinal walls. And what ends up happening is now there's literally a barrier between the foods that you're eating and that food's ability to actually digest into your body, because there's all this mucoid plaque. And a lot of people, don't believe in mucoid plaque, but I can tell you in the 8 years of doing this work, I have been sent some doozy of pictures of what is releasing out of people's bodies. And especially when we start to do deep parasite cleansing and all of this garbage is coming out of their system. Well, I mean, just think about it. When you see people that are walking around with a big, a lot of excess weight through their midsection, that is a lot of excess waste and toxicity. Waste as in WASTE, right? That's a lot of waste and toxicity that is built up in their system. And so no matter what they're putting into their body, I can pretty much guarantee you that none of the nutrients they're putting in actually end up going to the cells and tissues they're intended for, because there's too much mucoid plaque and parasites built up in their system. It's creating a barrier. So detoxification is a very vital element of addressing thyroid issues, especially when it comes to supporting the liver as well as supporting the gut. And I do think that both those elements have to be addressed along with parasite cleansing. So it's not just exclusively what you're putting into your body. In fact, if you do the proper detoxification work, the nutrients that you're putting in will actually be better utilized and better absorbed, because you'll be able to get all that gunk out of your system. And I mean, I experienced this firsthand doing this work on myself. Like, I dealt with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's for 6 years. And it wasn't until I started that initial protocol that addressed diet, gut health, heavy metals, and parasites that I really started to notice the shift within my own body in terms of my health. And then since then, like I've been completely off thyroid medications now for over 5 years. I've done some deeper protocols on myself. In fact, recently I did like 31 days of just superfoods and herbs, and then I went into 10 days only of what I like to call my magic water protocol. And one of the things that I've noticed since I've come off that protocol is I'm not as hungry. Like I will have a couple of superfood shakes throughout the day, and I'll have a little bit of fruit and then whatever I'm having for dinner, but I'm not constantly hungry. And the reason I'm not constantly hungry is that what I am putting in gets better absorbed, better utilized. So a lot of people are actually overeating, and I can say this with confidence. Most people are over consuming food, but those nutrients, if assuming that their food has any nutrients, which most of the foods that people eat don't actually have a lot of nutrition in them. And that's why they're having to eat so much all the time, because they're at the cell level, their body's not getting what it needs. And then even if they are having foods that have nutrients, because of what's happening in the lining of the gut and that mucoid plaque that's built up, or even the presence of parasites, the nutrients aren't getting to where they need to go. So people are literally over consuming food, but not addressing the detoxification piece. And this is why I'm a big proponent of, like, we need to detox the body in order to help the body to actually regenerate itself. Then the nutrients that you're putting in will actually get to where they need to go. Do you understand what I'm saying about that? Hopefully you do. If you don't, please put your questions in the chat, and I'm more than happy to do a follow-up video about this. And then the other side of this, I will just say this: when I first embarked on the journey to get off thyroid medication, which would have been January of 2018, when I was exclusively only making dietary changes, I saw a fractional improvement in my health. And it wasn't until I started to do detox and working on gut health and addressing heavy metals and addressing parasites, that was when the mountains really started to move for me in terms of my own health. And I can trace it back to when that started, what that protocol was, and how long it took. It was 6 months solid for me on that protocol, where I did it month after month after month after month. And by the end of the 6 months, I was off the thyroid meds. All the issues that I had been dealing with in terms of my gut for years, all those issues went away. I've dealt with depression and anxiety off and on. I would say probably since I was a kid. But when I did that protocol, it would have been summer of 2019 into end of January 2020. When I did that protocol, those mood disturbances went away, and they've never come back. And that was over 5 years ago. So the detoxification piece is very critical for every person, because we live in a toxic soup. Like, we're breathing in chemicals through the air that we're breathing every single day. There's glyphosate that's seeping into our skin from the atmosphere, not to mention all the chemicals that are in the food and the water, in personal care products. Like, we're literally in a hodgepodge of chemical mess. And then on top of that, we've got all the 5G and all the EMFs, and there's a lot of stuff that is going on that the human body has to contend with. And so if you're really looking at creating health at the cell level, you have to address all of these inputs. And just going back to the detoxification piece, your lymph system has to deal with all that toxicity that you've been dumping into your system since even before you were born. I mean, 20 years ago, EWG released a statement, or released research, where they said they found like close to 200 chemicals in the umbilical cord between a mother and her child. That was like, 20 years ago, they found 200 chemicals. I would imagine that there's significantly more chemicals that your average unborn baby is being exposed to in utero. And then, of course, as soon as they come out and they're born into this world, a lot of them are injected with even more chemicals. And your body has to deal with all that. Your lymph system has to deal with all that. In fact, anybody who's watching this video, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, I'm going to give you a little homework assignment. I would love for you to check your pee to see if your pee is actually, your kidneys are actually filtering. So the way that you're going to do this test is you're going to fast for 12 hours. That means no food, no water for 12 hours. That window can be 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It can be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. But during that window, no liquids whatsoever. And you can get up in the middle of the night if you need to go pee, go ahead, do that. But you're going to take your first urine sample in the morning, pee into a clear container, whether it's a mason jar or a glass jar, and look to see whether or not there's any sediment in that pee. No matter what the color is, if the pee is completely clear, then that means your kidneys are not filtering. And if your kidneys are not filtering, that metabolic waste is going to start to go into other parts of your body. It's going to back up into the lymph system. Some of it might come out through the colon. Some of it might come out through the lungs, because that's another elimination organ we have. And some of it, especially when people have skin issues, some of that metabolic waste could start coming out through the skin, because your skin will start to act like a kidney to get rid of that metabolic waste. But there is a divine design, an intelligent design of the human body. And when we have elimination organs that are not filtering properly, whether that's the colon's not, getting rid of waste, or the kidneys aren't getting rid of waste, or whatever is backing up into the lymph system, that's usually when we start to see symptoms. We start to experience symptomology in the body. And that's how you know that your health is going down. That's how you know something's happening. You start to feel some aches and pains and brain fog, and you're not feeling 100%. That is your body telling you something. And I would encourage you not to ignore those symptoms. And especially if you are someone who's dealing with thyroid issues, you definitely want to figure out, is it your liver that's compromised? Is it your gut that's compromised? I'm willing to bet it's probably both. And then you need to make sure that you're supporting those organs and actually supporting proper detoxification within the body. Every single person that has thyroid issues has issues that have to be addressed through the lymph system. Because if you didn't have issues with your lymphatic system, you would not be dealing with thyroid issues. But now you just have to figure out, is it exclusively your thyroid gland? Is it your pituitary and your liver? Is it your gut, pituitary, liver? Which combination is it? And if you're one of those people that is on thyroid medication, I was one of those people. I was on thyroid medication and I never saw an improvement in terms of my thyroid function. And that was because it was not my thyroid. I was medicated for it, but it was not my thyroid. It was actually my pituitary and my liver and my gut that needed support. And through the work of regenerative health, that's what I've done, is I've supported my liver, my adrenals, my gut, my pituitary. And as a result of doing that and doing proper detoxification, I completely reversed hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's. I'm celebrating over 5 years being completely off medication and feeling a whole heck of a lot better than when I was medicated for many years unnecessarily. So it is always important to address the root causes of what is happening in the body, and understanding that the body has the capacity and the capability to heal itself. but it can only heal itself if you properly support it. If you continue to put toxic foods into your body and you don't address the detoxification piece at all, then of course your body is not going to be able to heal itself. You're literally putting up the barriers. So you get to decide. I can tell you that healing is possible because I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and literally hundreds of people reverse all kinds of chronic health conditions that, they were told were impossible to reverse. So the human body is miraculous. It is divinely designed. It is capable of healing itself, but you have to decide to do what is necessary, to allow that healing to actually take place. So yeah, if you are interested in addressing the root causes of chronic illness, especially autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's or Graves or MS or any of those conditions, I have an amazing program called Elevate. I do live weekly calls for it every single week so that you have support as you're moving through the program. You have a space where you can ask questions, where you can get insights. And I design protocols that are really focused on addressing the root causes of chronic illness and dis-ease within the body. So I love that program. It's like, it's less than a price of a cup of coffee a day. So it's an amazing deal. And I really created it because I would like more people to be able to address the root causes of chronic health issues and get their health back on track, because it feels amazing to feel good in your body. There's really no substitute for it. I've had the experience of living in a sick body, and I've had the experience of living in a healthy body. And I can tell you that life is exponentially better when you feel good in your body. And unfortunately, most people, because of the modern diet and lifestyle, have never actually experienced how good their body is designed to feel. And if you've never experienced it, you don't know what's possible. But I can tell you, as I've done the work in regenerative health and regenerating my own health and vitality, like, it gets better and better all the time. Like, I feel better now than I did 20 years ago. And that's a testament to how powerful the body is. So I'm going to do like a little left turn, as I like to do on Mondays, because I like to cover the health side, and I always like to do a little mindset piece as well to give you a little bit mindset motivation for the week ahead. I didn't even realize that today's a holiday. I had no idea it was a holiday, and my other half called me from the road, and he's like, "Everything's closed. What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe they canceled everything because of the snow. We're in Snowmageddon over here." But it turns out it was a holiday. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so let's talk about mindset, right? Mindset is so key for absolutely everything. And I think I've quoted Einstein before. He always had the best sayings, but he always said that the most important thing that you can decide in your life is whether you live in a friendly or a hostile universe. And but that just goes back to having a powerful mindset. And this is so important for everything in life. So if you're on a health journey, and I've seen this firsthand working with clients, when I have clients who really believe that their body has the ability to heal, their motivation to make the changes is so much better than someone who is skeptical, than someone who doesn't believe it at all, or if they think that some outside entity or some outside force is the reason why they're dealing with whatever the issue is in their life in terms of their health or anything else. And so it's really important to work on mindset daily. This is something that has taken me many years to train myself to do this. It took me probably 10 years to do this. But if you can do this for yourself on a daily basis, and you don't even have to believe it in the beginning. In fact, be totally skeptical, go through the motions, but do the things. And so years ago, 11 years ago, I worked one-on-one with a coach of mine. Um, and when I started working with her, I was newly widowed. I was dealing with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto, so my health was not in the best state. I was dealing with a lot of depression and anxiety. I was unemployed, didn't have a job, didn't have any prospects, so I was pretty down and out at that point in my life. And she was the person who got me introduced to tapping and to really working on affirmations. And I was a very big skeptic of affirmations. So she had me write out a bunch of I am statements. And you can write out whatever type of I am statements you want. Um, Make sure that it's something that's authentic to you, that resonates with you. So, for example, if you're dealing with chronic illness, you would say, I am healthy, I am blessed, I'm loved, I'm safe. Like, just whatever your I am statements is, write them out. And I used to have to write them out because I couldn't remember them. And then she actually had me doing tapping every single day out loud as I did those I am statements. So I'll just give you a simple tap. You don't even have to do the whole tapping series, but I would say just tap on heart center as you say your I am statements. And do this first thing in the morning. In fact, lay in bed and do this. Like, just lay in bed and say your I am statements as you tap on heart chakra. And if you don't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth, that's okay. You don't have to believe the words whatsoever. But just say the words as you do the tap. And there's something magical that happens. Most of us do not use the power of our word for goodness in this world. We use our word to create what's called evil speech. I'll get into that another time. But we don't understand that our words have creation power. And so when we're speaking negatively, when we're gossiping, when we're putting negative energy out there, what we're actually doing is using our creation power to bring more negativity to fruition. And if you kind of like step back and just take a more pragmatic approach and you look at the world around you, you look and see what's happening, that is what has been created collectively by humanity because of how we choose to use our words. You can choose to use your words completely differently. And so I would say start using your words for yourself in a positive way first thing in the morning. And just even before your eyes really open, just like tap on heart center, say your I am statements, and just keep doing it every single day. This exercise takes less than a minute. If you have time to be on social media, you have time to do this exercise. And make it a little game with yourself. Do it for 30 days and then see if anything shifts in your outer reality or just even within you, right? Doesn't even have to be that anything outside changes, but if you have more peace of mind, more gratitude, more joy, then that is the beginning of what is going to happen, the change that is going to be coming. I have been using these I am statements now going on 11 years. Sometimes I add a little more to my I am statements. And every single I am statement that I say has now come to pass. It is now truth evident. I get to experience all of those things being a part of my reality. And if I think about how it got created by me doing that exercise. I started in 2014 with it. I didn't believe it. My coach just told me to do it. And so I just did it. I did it by rote. I did it out of habit. I did it even not really paying attention to the words. And then what has happened in the last, 11 years is every single one of those statements has come true. I used my creation power to create all the things that I was speaking about. And this is where you can really start thinking about little added homework for you. How do you use your words? Do you use it to gossip? Do you use your words to put other people down? Do you use your words to put yourself down? And start catching yourself. This is kind of a build on what I spoke about last week. Catch yourself and choose to say nothing. Say nothing. If it's not negative, or if it's negative, don't say anything. You don't need to put it out there, you know? And instead, start to use your words to create good. And just experience that. And doesn't mean that everything's gonna, I'm not a fairy. Not gonna wave a magic wand and everything's gonna turn around overnight or anything like that. But just becoming more conscious of how you use your words and to speak about yourself, to speak about others, and what you put out there into the world. It will give you a profound sense of creation power, for lack of a better word. Right. So I hope that helps. Thank you for being here on this holiday Monday. One of these days I'll figure out when holidays are. And I hope that you found some value in this video. Of course, if you have any questions, please pop them into the comment section. I love being able to respond to people's comments. And this channel is more for you than it is for me. I want to put this information out into the world so that more people can benefit from this information and make their lives a happier place, make their health nice and vibrant, and put more goodness into the world. So if you have any questions, pop them below. You can check out the membership. My beautiful editor, Lori, has put the link into the chat. And yeah, if you're not already following the channel, follow the channel, share this information with anyone who can benefit from this. And I appreciate you and thank you for being part of my online community. And make sure that you check the caption below this video as well for all of my little online goodies. All right, thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye for now.